Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Thursday the 24th of April and market jumped yesterday, but let's have a look at what's really going on in this educational video where there's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. It is for educational purpose only to demonstrate how I read the market using technical analysis and market behavior. So let's start with S&P 500 that jumped 1.7%. At one point it was actually up more than 2%, but it never closed this gap here and never got up to touching it even. So before sellers seems to taking back control, and if they close the gap down here, we could see downtrend resume, and it will be confirmed if we take out 5,115 to the downside. We still have this dead cross up here indicating lower levels. Also negative sentiment on the RSI is not really doing it any good at the moment. Pre-market about 0.5% lower. So let's see when we get closer to the market opening. We have a Nasdaq 100 that was up 2.3% almost, but at one point it was up much more, but it never got up above the 19,234. That would have established maybe a short-term rally towards 20,000, but also here we have a dead cross that is weighing heavily on the index, and still no divergence on the RSI, and negative sentiment indicating likely lower levels. Pre-market a little bit lower at the moment. We have a Dow Jones index. Here's the index that also jumped but couldn't hold on and didn't even get up to the to close this gap area here. Pre-market we are down about 0.4%. Asian session this morning. The Hang Seng index seems to be rejected here at 21 moving average. That is pushing down, and after reaching the 50% retracement of this downtrend here, could be rejected, and if it starts moving back below the cloud and closing the gap down to this candle close here, and this is what we do, then downtrend could resume, and especially if we get the RSI back below 40, we could see another wave of selling. European market yesterday had a very good day, a very strong day indeed. Eurostoxx 50 broke from the get-go above 5,000, and now setting back a little bit here in early session, about 0.5%. We are still negative sentiment, and if we slide back below the lows from yesterday, the downtrend could resume, and it will be confirmed if we push back below 5,891 and close below here. Then downtrend is resuming with a possibly lower levels to follow. DAX, well, we talked about it for so many times that 21,302 was the key resistance. It opened much higher and almost up to where it could go to 21,150. Could test it, but this morning here is a little bit lower, as you can see, and still RSI. It needs to close above 60 threshold, so a close above 60 threshold and a close above 21,150 could push the index higher. But if it starts sliding back below the cloud and also close below 21,300, then downtrend, it could be an indication of downtrend to resume. Euro dollar, well, in correction mode, key strong support in the area around here, 112.40, 112.50, and 38.2 retracement of this bullish move up here. If it closes below 112.40, well, then we could see a larger correction down to 110.50 area, possibly lower. But for now, we're still holding on above here, and we're still in a bullish trend, so it could push higher towards 117 until the picture changes. The sterling dollar, 131.50 correction. I expect that to play out over the next few days, but if it takes out the resistance here at 134.35, well, then there's potential much higher towards 137.5. On euro sterling still this corrective phase, I can't make up my mind phase, and what I will say is that it either have to take out to the upside 86.25 or 85.19, so I'll say 85.15 to the downside, and it could push down to 84.60. Dollar yen in a bouncing mode, pausing a little bit, sliding back, hasn't reached the 144.20, which is the 38.2 retracement. Can still do it, but this 140.25 really strong support, as we have seen so many times. So if you're a newcomer to this, you can see why it's such an important level here, so strong. But if it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago at 139.85, well, then we could be looking at 137. Euro yen still without any direction, still in this range here, so I'll skip it. I've been talking about so many times, so still in this really volatile range there. We have Aussie yen just below the 91.80 resistance. If it breaks above, then I think we could see it push up to 93.15, and maybe even testing the falling trend line here. It's still a little bit up in the air. If it starts pushing below the this level here, let's see exactly what it is. It is 89.64, so 89.60. Then I think we'll see downtrend resuming. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence indicating lower levels. Sterling yen testing resistance and 50% here at 190.10, 190.20. Spiked a little bit above. Seems to be rejected at least at first take, but it could actually push up to the 61.8 retracement, 191.55. Also here, if it starts taking out the lows here. Oops, that was wrong. We have to adjust it. There we are, 187.40. Then downtrend is resuming. Aussie dollar still hovering around this resistance support area here around 64. We are in a bullish trend, short term at least. Positive sentiment should be potential up to 65.5. But if it starts sliding back below the cloud level here, and the cloud level is currently at the 62.40, well, then downtrend is back in motion. The dollar Canada seems to be finding some support here, and what I will do, I will say, okay, maybe we have a bit of a correction going on. So how big could that correction be? Possibly up to 140.70, which is the 38.2 retracement, but the 200 moving average here will be a little bit of a struggle. If it takes out the lows at 137.80, well, then we could see a push down to 136.5. And sterling Canada, well, also a lot of jittery here, but it's above the cloud. 55 moving average rising, 100, 200, and we just need a higher move and a close of RSI back above 60 threshold. Then we could see potential to previous levels around 187, 188. Still struggling a little bit. Euro Swiss keeps bouncing in this correction phase here. I think it could still push a little bit higher, possibly up to 61.8 retracement and 94.75. And then we have some strong resistance and the cloud resistance. If it starts sliding back here, then keep an eye on it. It could resume downtrend. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, but I think it could keep bouncing a little bit more. However, we have the 200 moving average coming down here that will give it a little bit of harder resistance. Same with the flat, more or less flat 100 moving average. So really a bit hard to read at the moment, but we're still in a bouncing mode. Dollar Swiss. I still believe it could get up to the 38.2 retracement at 83.5. I will remove this one; it's obsolete now. But in this region here, we could see it pushing to. There is actually divergence on the RSI. You can see the RSI values have been rising, market moving lower, so it was an indication of a trend exhaustion. So if it starts pushing higher than 83, 50, 55, then maybe we could see it all the way up to this. I wouldn't say consolidation area, but where there was a lot of interest going on at the 61.8 retracement at 85.40. But it's I think that would be a bit of a stretch. Downtrend will resume if it takes out the lows from from earlier this week. The dollar index also in bouncing mode. I think it could still bounce up to the 100.25, where we have some strong resistance. Actually, what I will do, I'll remove this one and then add another one. Say, well, there will be some resistance in this gap area here, and that will be key here if it can close this or not. Also, correction time in golds corrected 38.2 to 3,292 and a bit lower. Can still drop lower to the 61.8 and strong support here at 3,165 area. We're not totally out of woods. There is actually divergence on the RSI. This RSI value is slightly lower than this one, so we are in a stretched situation. But we have seen this before, and if we start pushing higher here and taking out 3,500, then we are looking at 3,600. Actually, I think up to 3,800. Silver had a strong move yesterday, broke this little deadlock here above the 786 retracement. We just need the RSI back above 60 threshold if you like to have higher silver prices at close above 60 threshold. Well, then I think it will be almost a given. We will move back to test the previous peaks and possibly even higher. Copper is hovering around the resistance and the 61.8 retracement here, just around 485, 486. Also here the same story with copper as with silver. RSI 60 threshold needs to be broken and taken out for further upside potential, and I think we will see that if it takes out and closes above the peak from yesterday at 493 and a bit. Then we'll see. Then I think we'll see that. Moving on to energy, and here WTI crude oil. Almost got up to the resistance 65.20 where before it got set back. If we see a close below 60.45, then downtrend is likely to resume, and RSI is showing still negative sentiment, and there's no divergence indicating we could see lower lows, and that will be confirmed if WTI closes below this support level and RSI closes back below 40 threshold. Brent crude oil rejected at the 68 resistance. If it moves back below 63.79, downtrend is to resume. European gas and nat gas, well, didn't get even up to the 38.2 retracement before it was sliding back again. If it takes out 32.5, then we're looking at 30 euro levels. And we have a US nat gas Henry Hub currently actually trading below $3 again. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago, 295, then I think we're looking at 276, 275. And yields, well, yields. Yesterday we had a spike down to test the support here at 426, but it's bounced, so it can still push higher if it gets back above the cloud here. Then the uptrend is likely to resume, and we are talking about levels around, let's see, 445, 446. Then expect the uptrend to resume. The 2-year, well, still a lot of noise, can't make up its mind, so it's really. It seems to be sliding back, negative sentiment, and we could see it setting back to 360, 365 level. Moving on to the European yields, well, we have the Euro 10-year bounced a little bit yesterday, but we are in a bearish trend, so maybe it's just a correction in a push towards 240, 237. If it starts pushing higher here towards 255 and 258, then we could see a push up to around 270. The UK 10-year actually dipped below to the 786 retracement 447 yesterday and then bounced, so maybe that was it, and this is basically the big range we need to break out at 480 and 438. And cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin spiked a little bit higher, just below the previous spike here, and resistance 95, 130. seems to be forming a top reversal pattern, but we have a positive sentiment on the RSI indicating slightly higher levels, and could push higher if it takes out 95 of 130. Well, then we are looking at 100,000 all of a sudden again. The Ethereum still trading around the 1755, 1800, so it's lacking quite a bit. Still negative sentiment around the RSI. Needs to close above to really push higher towards 2100 again. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again later.